Hey everyone! So my name is Caitlin, and I actually wanted to go through some of my October reads. So the first book that I read was called The Ex Hex by Erin Sterling, and I actually don't have a copy of this book, so I'll probably just insert a picture. But I rated this book a 2.5 star. I thought that this book was pretty cute. The thing is, I actually picked it up about a year ago. Not about, I would say, like a quarter of the way through, and then I DNF'd it. And with like the spooky season coming up, since I read this the beginning of October, I thought it would be a good book just to pick up again and finish. Some things that I kind of would have changed about it. Some of the main characters' names were Reese, Elaine, and I think it was Gwyn. Since I just read ACOTAR about a year ago, I think when I first picked up the book, it was after ACOTAR. I don't know, something about them having the same names in the book kind of threw me off. So this was a YA romance, and it was kind of like witchy vibes throughout. Overall, it was a fun book. I don't want to get into too much because I feel like it might spoil it. I feel like if you just kind of want like a cozy, fun, like witchy romance, I would just pick it up and give it a try. I wasn't a big fan of the ending. I wasn't a big fan of the book overall, but I think a lot of people that are just looking for a cute, fun read might enjoy it. So that's why I gave it 2.5. So my next read in October was Phantasma by Kaylie Smith. And I also don't have a physical copy of this book because I read it on my Kindle, so I'll also insert a photo. This book, I think I heard about through TikTok and a few book talkers that said that this was a great standalone. And in the moment, I kind of felt like I was getting into a book slump because the Ex Hex wasn't necessarily for me. And so I was like, you know what? I have the bandwidth to read a standalone at this time. So I read Phantasma and I rated it 4.5 stars. And what Phantasma is about is that our main character, Ophelia, finds out that her sister has entered into this deadly game called Phantasma. And there are 9 different trials in it, and it's very different in my mind from at least the trial books that I've read. It's more of like a spooky haunted house trial, and the vibes of the book were very gothic, and I felt like it was perfect for the fall or for spooky season. So I loved this book. I heard it's similar to like Caraval, Lightlark, because those are, I guess they're like similar vibes. But I haven't really been in the YA mood. So I do have Lightlark that I've been meaning to get to. So when I read that, I will let you know what I think. But I love the spice in this book. I was having a great time reading it. It was super fast paced. And I think I read it in like a day or maybe 2, but it wasn't even 2 full days. So my next read in October was Throne of the Fallen, and I do have that book by Kerri Maniscalco. And this book has been on my shelf for a while. I've talked about it before in my top reads. I absolutely love this book. I'm so happy because when I bought it, I actually bought the exclusive edition from Barnes & Noble, because in between this one and then the original copy is the black cover. And I had at the time like no pink books. So I was like, that's the only reason. I was in between both of them because I really liked the black cover. But I figured I'd go with this one, and I'm so happy I did because I loved reading the exclusive content in this book. So this book is about Prince of Envy and Camilla, and Camilla is our female main character. There are these deadly games that Prince Envy has to go through, and it kind of goes more into detail about how Camilla is involved. And I won't go too much into it, but I do know that there is the Wicked trilogy that's supposed to be before this one, written by Kerri Maniscalco, and that goes over a separate prince. So if you want more background, I would read that trilogy first and get to know the other prince and kind of what's happening before this book. I've heard that you can start with this one, which is what I did, but to go back and read the trilogy afterwards is, you kind of know what happens at that point, so I feel like it kind of ruins it. But I loved this book. I rated it 5.5 stars. It was amazing. The tension in the book was amazing. It was actually like frustrating for me to read it. It was so good. And usually that would annoy me, but it was done so well. I can't wait to reread it. I actually have like some things tabbed from the book, but I can't wait to reread it and annotate it. It was a great read after Phantasma, and I loved this. So my next read in October was Throne of Secrets by Kerri Maniscalco, and this one came out just in time. By the time I read Throne of the Fallen and finished it, this one was released, I think, like the day before I finished Throne of the Fallen. So I was so excited to get into this one next. So this one is about the Prince of Gluttony, and Adriana is our female main character. And this book I rated 4.75 stars. And why I didn't rate it as high as the Throne of the Fallen book was I feel like the plot in this one was kind of missing for me. It was still really good, but I felt like in Throne of the Fallen, it was like the perfect mix of everything. There was a really engaging plot, a really like crazy engaging story, along with a great romance. And this one was, I felt more about the romance. Enemies to lovers, it kind of goes through that trope. Loved the enemies to lovers in this. I think she did a great job. But I think the story, it had like a few frustrating like plot holes almost for me. Like I felt like it was missing stuff, and stuff was kind of just quick to be concluded, and it felt kind of rushed in that way. But I still had a great time reading it. I still think it's like over 4 stars, almost 5 stars. There was just something missing for me, and I think it was that the plot wasn't as developed as Throne of the Fallen, especially. So yeah, I love this book. I tabbed a few like quotes going through it too, just like in the previous one, and I would definitely reread this one still. And I'm trying to, if anyone has read these 2 books and they have a theory on what the next book is going to be about, which Prince of Sin, leave a comment with your prediction. I have my own prediction, but I don't know, it's a toss-up. I've been like tabbing as I read these to try to figure out who it might be, and I think I have a good idea, but I want to see what you think, so let me know. So the last book I read in October was The Ever King, and as you can see, this book, I was a fan. I really, really liked this book. I kind of picked this book to read was I saw it on Book Talk and a few booktubers reading it. And the line on the back says, "They stole his crown, so he stole their daughter." So from what I've heard from other people, there's Pirate Fae, there's Earth Fae. It's almost Pirates of the Caribbean mixed with a typical fantasy book, I guess. So I love this book. Rated it 4 stars. It wasn't super close to 5 stars. I also read Throne of the Fallen right before this, so I don't know, that might have swayed me a bit. But it was really, really good. I think I rated it that because there were some things that I think could have been done a little better, or just that I didn't love about it. I do have to say there is a side character in this book that I absolutely fell in love with. I don't fall in love with side characters very easily unless they're, you know, a main part of the book. And he kind of was, but not to the point where I think I would have had much of an attachment to him, but it was just so endearing, and I loved his character, and I loved these 2 main characters together. Overall, I love this book. I would definitely recommend. If you're into any pirate books, fantasy books, romantasy, I would definitely give this a try. So that's it. Those are all the books that I read in October. If you have any book recommendations or have read these, let me know what you think down below. As always, my Goodreads are linked in the description, so be sure to follow me on there. But yeah, that's all for now. I'll see you in the next one.